I know most of you Illuminati researchers know this guy.
Question of how and why the United Nations is the crux of the great conspiracy to destroy the sovereignty of the United States and the enslavement of the American people within a UN one-world dictatorship is a complete and unknown mystery to the vast majority of the American people.
You know who he is, right? Myron C. Fagan. That, what you just listened to, of course, a lot of people have listened to, is Illuminati CFR. That was produced by another fellow conspiracy researcher, Anthony J. Hilder. He produced them records. Well, oops, typed his name wrong, didn't I? Okay, so let's go back to, I wanted to show you something. Hang on, give you a list of some of his books. Okay. Let's go over here real quick. He had one about where he was saying that letting black people in public schools and promoting black and white interracial mingling was a Illuminati plot to destroy America. Yeah, there we go. Some of his book right here is on a white nationalist website. How the greatest white nations were mongrelized, then negroized. I should get that. There we go. Shorten that screen. Selected excerpts from one of the many pamphlets published by Myron C. Fagan, a prolific anti-communist of the time. So, there we go. You can buy this on Amazon. Oh, I also viewed this. How greatest white nations were mongrelized and negroized. That is the fate plan for the American people. 1965. Let's read this. Taken from part of the preface. How the unalerted American people and the overambitious but naive members of both houses of Congress and of our state legislators might ask, what is that crux of the mastermind's plot? Assuming he means Illuminati. What is their real objective? The answer is very simple. The plot is to mongrelize our people and to transform the U.S. into a land of mulattoes. On the theory that they, the masterminds, can very easily control the mulattoes. Hence the cries of the Martin Lucifer Kings and all the other Negro group leaders and the apostate ministers of the National Council of Churches for intermarriage of blacks and whites and a free sexual relationship between blacks and whites. That was exactly the way many of our greatest white nations and civilizations were destroyed throughout the past centuries. and the masterminds of the great conspiracy are fully aware of it. Now I realize that those same masterminds and their stooges, including some of the more brazen mass communications media, will denounce all of the above as the ravings of a deranged mind. Well, I denounce all of it as basically a white supremacist, racist mindset. Got to remember that this is pretty fashionable among the right wing to be against the mixture of whites and blacks. Isn't that something to say that, to try to end racism is a plot by the Illuminati? Granted, I guess I could see them, taking advantage of race to seize control. I see that argument, but if you actually go and read this right here, it's downright racist. I'll shrink it up a little bit. How the unalerted American people... Let me shrink this. Now, the unalerted American people and the overambitious but naive members of both houses of Congress and our state legislators might ask, what is the crux of the mastermind's plot? Well, we already read that. That was exactly the way many of our greatest white nations and civilizations were destroyed throughout the past centuries, and the masterminds of the great conspiracy are fully aware of it. So, he says a lot of stuff. You can go on this website and read it. That's what, white supremacists, white nationalists argue all the time. I'm not... But, it's another guy, very questionable guy. And who was he tied to? Anthony J. Hilder, who happened to be tied to Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper said that they were very close co-research partners and friends. Bill Cooper, Myron C. Fagan. So you can go, and so Bill Cooper, he did a series of videos where, they use this man as sorry, it's faded and blurry, damn it. Come on. But they used this guy, or used this guy. You can even go on their website, they show his records and stuff, or his audio, Myron C. Fagan's. But they never tell you that he was a white supremacist guy who was racist, who said that the move, yeah, I mean, there was some communist infiltration and involvement with the, with a lot of the African Americans during that era. Yeah, they were taking advantage of that and using them for their own purposes. That's true. But, he doesn't even say that in these books. He says that, they almost act like the racism that existed during that time was okay. Let's go to the other garbage that he's spewing. Okay, so goes to the Egyptian history, but unless congressional action will reveal the truth and prevent the mongrelization of the American people, which will destroy our civilization. So, note, careful comparison of the above described conditions in Egypt with those that confront the American people today clearly evidences that highly significant similarity. In that early Egyptian civilization, as in all civilizations, they were bleeding hearts, do-gooders, liberals. Oh, you mean people who, wanted to, stop slavery? Black people to stop having shit thrown at them and getting treated like shit just because they want a decent education. You mean those kind of people that wanted to fight? There's a lot of good intended liberals. Not all people who want blacks to, live decent lives are bad, but listen to this. They were bleeding hearts, do-gooders, liberals, just as we have them amongst our people today. Do-gooders who bewailed the plight of the poor Negroes, who screamed for their freedom, then for their equality, etc., etc. In short, the Negro problem crept up on the unsuspected and unalerted Egyptian people, exactly as it has crept up on us. From a slave position came freedom for the Negroes, followed by a slow elevation to posts of authority in the government and the armed forces and commercial pursuits and sports and the entertainment fields, exactly as it has taken place over here. So, yeah. You can read this, though. But it's clear. We can go down here. I think he says some other shit. Those tragic and disastrous events in Egypt. Sorry, it's blurry again, damn it. Bore out the prophetic warnings of Sesostris concerning the Negro immigration. He had clearly perceived that, although Egypt had the surface appearance of strength, the foundations of the country were being slowly but surely undermined and corroded under this outland invasion of thoroughly disruptive stock. Now appraise the present state of our country. Then study the seethings in Africa and Asia. See how our leaders in Washington and the United Nations are creating all the new nations in Africa, and how all the influences of the whites have been and are being destroyed in all of those lands of the savages. So, yeah, you can get on here, though. It's just look up Myron C. Fagan, white nationalist. Nationalist.org has this cert from here, and you'll see that, if you have any heart whatsoever, that this guy was a racist of his day, and, I mean, like I said, they might have been taking advantage of... the blacks, the black problem and stuff like that, so they could politicize it for their own end. But he doesn't say anything about that, reminding people that, there's some decent black people. Remind you that there's a lot of decent black people who happen to get the short end of the stick from the beginning. Maybe we need to let them have a decent life and, not be treated like shit. I've met some very smart black people, so I don't know where this guy gets the idea that, they're all mongrels and they, unintelligent. That's bullshit. Some of the smartest people I've met were black people. But this is one of the grandfathers of the anti-Illuminati, anti-New World Order researchers. And isn't it interesting that, still to this day, you know, they seem to, you know, well, I won't go that far, but I'm just going to tell you, be careful with some of these guys. While they did talk about the truth regarding, some of the truth regarding the Illuminati, there was usually a mask and a cover for the real agenda. So, you know, I mean, you could say the Illuminati, you know, is behind anything that you know, if you want to convince people that, like, if you want to convince people that giving black people some kind of decent life or an opportunity or something, if you want to convince people it's just a conspiracy by the Illuminati to destroy America, you can get people on your side and be against any kind of policy or any kind of act or move towards stopping Jim Crow laws back in the 60s. You know, that's what he basically sound like in his book. He used this Illuminati propaganda for, to get the people against any kind of civil rights for the blacks. My opinion, though. Just wanted to show you that. Take it easy.